Welcome to the Health Inquiry: Evidence, Perspective, and the Art of Healthy Life. In a previous episode titled A New Way to Think About Health, we introduced the health spectrum, that continuous line where your daily choices in sleep, nutrition, exercise, emotional regulation, and conviction steadily nudge you left toward greater vitality or right toward decline. Today, we're expanding that conversation with a book that speaks directly to the often overlooked center, conviction pillar, and bolsters the West, willpower pillar, Jennifer Breheny Wallace's book, Mattering: The Secret to a Life of Deep Connection and Purpose, published in January 2026. Drawing on 6 years of research, hundreds of interviews, psychological studies, and real-life stories, Wallace offers a transformative framework that shows how feeling truly valued and knowing you add value to others isn't a luxury. It's a core human need as essential as food, water, or quality sleep. When met, it builds resilience, reduces burnout, and accelerates your progress left on the spectrum. When unmet, it quietly slides you rightward into loneliness, anxiety, depression, and even physical health risks. Let's unpack this powerful idea step by step with the evidence, examples, and practical tools Wallace provides so you can apply it immediately. What mattering really means, and why it's a meta-need. Mattering is the deep-seated sense that you are valued for who you are, not just what you achieve, and that you have meaningful opportunities to add value to the lives of those around you, family, friends, colleagues, community. Wallace calls it a meta-need, an umbrella that encompasses belonging, connection, purpose, and agency, but goes deeper. Self-esteem asks, how do I feel about myself? Belonging asks, am I included? Mattering asks the fuller questions, do I count? Does my presence make a positive difference? This isn't New Age philosophy. Psychologists have studied mattering since the 1980s, tracing its evolutionary roots. In early human societies, feeling valued and needed literally improved survival odds through stronger social bonds. Wallace's research shows that when people feel they matter, they report higher resilience, better emotional regulation, and even improved health behaviors. Conversely, a mattering deficit fuels today's epidemics. In interviews across ages, industries, and geographies, hundreds told her they feel invisible, insignificant, or that their efforts don't make a difference. Modern life, hyper-individualism, technology that connects us superficially but isolates us deeply, relentless achievement pressure, and fragmented relationships has created what Wallace calls a social health crisis. We chase counterfeit forms of mattering, likes, prestige, money, or status. The result? 70% of employees report disengagement at work, not from laziness, but as a protective coping strategy against the pain of not mattering. Unmet mattering shows up in higher rates of anxiety, depression, substance use, burnout, and even suicidal ideation. Research Wallace cites links feelings of uselessness and worthlessness as the two most common descriptors among suicidal men. These findings aren't abstract. They directly impact your health spectrum position. Chronic feelings of not mattering elevate stress hormones like cortisol, disrupting immunity, metabolism, and sleep. They erode purpose, weakening the internal compass of conviction. Wallace's work shows that a strong sense of mattering acts like a buffer, lowering allostatic load, the cumulative wear from chronic stress, and supporting the positive psychology research we referenced earlier. Purpose-linked studies associate it with reduced mortality risk, better health behaviors, and greater resilience. The mattering core, your internal foundation. The good news? Mattering is actionable. Wallace introduces the concept of the mattering core, a sturdy internal sense of being valued and knowing your impact. It's not dependent on external validation alone, but built through consistent reciprocal practices. The core has 4 essential elements: recognizing your impact, even small ones; being relied on, but not overburdened; feeling prioritized by others; being truly known and invested in. People who thrive, including the resilient adolescents Wallace studied in her best-selling Never Enough, share this core. It protects against anxiety and depression, grounds you during uncertainty, and deepens relationships. At work, it reduces burnout because you know your contributions matter. Societally, it offers a new architecture for how we live, work, and love. The SAID framework. 4 actionable ingredients. Wallace distills decades of research into the memorable SAID acronym, the specific ingredients for building and expanding your mattering core and span. S. Significant, feeling seen and essential, not replaceable. It's the small moments that say, your voice counts here. Example, a manager pausing in a meeting to ask, what do you think? Or a colleague checking in when you've been sick. A. Appreciated. Being valued for who you are and what you contribute, specifically, accurately, and tied to positive impact. Not generic praise, but your attention to the client's concerns kept this from going sideways. I can always count on you. I. Vested in, knowing others support and care for you. This means vulnerability and reciprocity. Mayo Clinic research, replicated in later studies, shows nourishing relationships don't require endless time, just consistent investment, like prioritizing 1 hour a week for deep connection. D. Depended on, needed by others in balanced ways. Feeling relied upon without being overwhelmed. This creates the bidirectional flow. When you help others feel they matter, your own sense of mattering strengthens. These aren't one-time fixes. They're daily practices that compound, much like the small choices that shift you left on the health spectrum. Real-life examples from the book, Mattering in Action. Wallace grounds her framework in vivid stories that illustrate both the pain of deficit and the power of restoration. Take Nancy Schlossberg, a researcher and academic who relocated from Michigan to Washington, D.C. for her husband's job. On paper, her life was ideal, a prestigious role at the American Council on Education. Yet she felt miserable, adrift, and invisible. Her routines, community, and sense of contribution had vanished overnight. She asked herself, will I matter again? This collapse during transition is common. Empty nest, retirement, divorce, job loss. Wallace uses Nancy's experience to show how prior identity can feel erased, sliding people rightward on the spectrum into despair. Or consider Emily, fresh out of college and lonely in Boston despite a new job. Inspired by a Paralympic video, she volunteered with Achilles International as a guide runner for Justin, a man with muscular dystrophy and spinal issues. Over months, Emily invested time, training runs, talent, researching techniques and pacing plans, and treasure, adjusting her schedule. On race day in the pouring rain, they ran hand in hand for 13 miles of the Boston Marathon. Justin set a personal record, 5:31:38, calling Emily his bestie and sister. For the first time in months, Emily felt her dedication mattered profoundly, to Justin and to herself. Wallace calls this becoming a corner man, offering your 3 T's, time, talent, treasure, without needing special credentials. It creates an upward spiral of interdependent mattering. Catherine, an empty nester who moved from New Jersey to Florida, felt isolated. She adopted a blanket yes policy to every invitation, joining a Facebook group, attending a dinner, a Super Bowl party, golf outings, and book clubs. One small yes led to deep friendships. Similarly, Sarah, post-divorce at 45, felt like an awkward third wheel and retreated, increasing isolation and even drinking. Through therapy, she reframed invitations as mutual acts of value and embraced the beautiful mess effect, the idea that showing our imperfect, vulnerable sides creates stickiness in relationships. Others don't judge us as harshly as we fear. Openness draws people closer. Even Wallace's own father, after retiring, built mattering through weekly lunches at a casual restaurant. Staff noticed his absence and sent a sympathy card when he stopped due to family illness. Small moments of significance in a third space. These stories aren't outliers. They reveal a pattern. Transitions rattle mattering, but small intentional acts, saying yes, offering your 3 T's, practicing me-search, personally researching your situation by interviewing others, rebuild it through reciprocity. Health isn't solitary. Mattering reminds us we're interconnected captains on the spectrum. Practical steps to strengthen your mattering core. This week, Wallace keeps it simple and compassionate. 1. Matter to yourself first. Each morning while brushing your teeth, ask, what is one small need I must fill today for myself? E.g., 10 minutes of quiet reading. 2. Build 1 to 3 reciprocal relationships. Prioritize 1 hour weekly for vulnerability. 3. Create mattering moments. Greet colleagues warmly, offer specific appreciation, extend or accept invitations. 4. During transitions. Practice me search. Say yes twice weekly. Remember the beautiful mess effect. 5. At home or work. Ask, who could use my 3 T's, and act in small ways. 6. Imagine everyone wears an invisible sign. Tell me, do I matter? Respond accordingly. No perfection required, just consistent, compassionate progress. Conclusion, your invitation to deeper connection. Mattering isn't another self-help checklist. It's a compassionate, evidence-backed roadmap to reclaim the deep connections and purpose that make life worth living. In a world that often measures us by outputs, Wallace reminds us that our most valuable resource is the sense that we count, and that we help others count too. What's one small action you'll take this week to strengthen mattering, for yourself or someone else? Maybe it's a specific note of appreciation, inviting a friend for coffee, or noticing your own quiet impacts. Share it in the comments below. I read everyone and love cheering you on. If this resonated with your health spectrum journey, hit like, subscribe to the Health Inquiry, and turn on notifications. Together, we're building evidence-based, perspective-rich paths to lifelong wellness, one meaningful connection at a time.